Now, the biggest misconception that many students have at the medical school interviews is that they don't need to prepare. They're naturally gifted, and hence by default many of them also believe that the ebooks that I provide are a complete waste of time. But then after download, many of them come to believe that I have an incredible, amazing ability to turn seemingly boring notes to the right and seminars and courses to aesthetically pleasing notes on the left. And a lot of them believe that it happens in one big step, and that's a absolute lie. The middle step is long, chaotic and messy, and essentially that's what this video is. And I got a new intro, and thank you for 2K subs. Welcome back guys, I'm Cringista, first year medical student studying at Queen Mary University in London this year. I make videos on productivity, balancing gym and help students on the medicine application process. I'm an advocate for theism and my main aim is to help people live a happy and healthy life, and I'm hoping I can bring you on the journey with me. Alright guys, so assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope everyone's doing well, and hopefully in today's video we're going to cover how you should answer why this university, for obviously presumably medicine, also on top of that why they should choose you specifically. So I'll be joined with 5 medical students at Queen Mary University of London. If you want to include me, then 6, and hopefully we'll be giving you tips on how to answer the question first and foremost, obviously that's the title of the video, but on top of that we'll be giving you exemplars as well. Now a quick side note, in the perfect reality where you're the perfect student with the perfect amount of practice and you know how to answer every single question, knowing your non-verbal and verbal cues and mistakes, potentially this video might not be for you. However, when I say most of the people, that's not going to be the case for. I mean like 99% of the people. And before we start today's video, I want to thank the sponsors to this video because it means a lot to me. It's my own company, MedChuck, and essentially we did launch a medicine interview ebook, and it's £35 divided by 10. Take away 1p. Essentially, I know what it means to be broke, but on top of that, MedShark did manage to support 800 students on the medicine application process for the UCAT, which is a massive milestone in the first year. And apart from that, let's actually get onto the video. Sorry for holding you. Let me say this. I don't want you to smash the like button. I need you to smash the like button. So if you guys do benefit, please smash that. And let's actually get onto the video. Alright, so Abdul Majid, looking techie as usual, thank you for coming through. So I hope you're going to kick into the first question, and it is any tips on how to answer why this medical school?
First you have to research the uni, of course, this is a given. The best information is obviously on the website, but also, if possible, try to find contacts with people who are already in the uni doing the course, so older years. I remember hearing a lot about PBLs, which is true. PBLs are a very important part of the course. But one thing I remember I didn't hear a lot of is the fact that the course is what they say spiral and integrated. So integrated meaning that a lot of the content we learn, so like the textbook content, the Queen Mary like to use that and integrate it into real life medical situations. So they have a thing called MedSoc where you're working with GPs, and this is a big thing that they do. They like to emphasize it, and they like to talk about how much they want to use the content in real life situations. It's something that I didn't really know how important it was until I actually got in. And the other one is Spiral. This is one I really didn't know about. How there's content that you learn in September, October that you might not fully grasp, but it's okay because they'll tell you that don't worry, you're going to come back to this a couple months down the line, and then second year you're going to be doing the same thing again. Also, another thing is societies, talking about other aspects of the uni, things like the charities that they work with, things like the history of the uni, so knowing people who have come to the uni and their contributions in research. All of these things, being able to combine them in a concise paragraph of speech to the interviewer without waffling like the way I'm doing right now, then honestly you'll be fine, inshallah.
So beforehand, when you go to your interview, you need to do your research on that university and what that university has to offer. Okay, so it will show the interviews that you've done your research and you know why you're going to that specific university. So for example, it can be something like what hospitals they're connected to, whether they have an intercalated degree, what sort of student selected components or student extra modules they have. It's things like this that will make it stand out to the interviewer that, okay, you've done your research for the interview and you've done your research of why you want to go to a specific university.
So for me, one of the main reasons why I picked Barts was the diversity. When I came in for my open day and I just had a look around, it was very diverse, it was very warm. Other universities had this very cold atmosphere. Everyone was at knife's edge, like they were about to tackle each other to the ground because of how much animosity there was. But here at Barts, it was just very friendly and very soothing atmosphere. And I really appreciated that. I wanted a university that didn't make me want to feel like I'm going to have to, work tirelessly and be subjected to kind of a very cold atmosphere. On top of that, there are kind of many features that were beneficial in the BART system that I kind of enjoyed. So looking at the PBL system, I looked at that and I thought, well, this seems very interesting. This seems something that I would want to do. Because handling cases and discussing certain features about a diagnosis or just a particular patient in general, that intrigues me. I think from the get-go, we as potential medics or as medical applicants should want a place where we're going to be tested on our clinical skills knowledge in the sense of recognizing what a patient has. Finally, and I think this is quite just a cool point, there is the air ambulance. There's the opportunity to work with the Royal London Air Hospital, using the helicopter and using those kind of A&E trauma skills. And I think that's very amazing to do. That's an incredible piece of medical, it's an incredible work. And I really would want to give that a go. That's what kind of pulled me to Barts as well.
So then we'll on to the next question, which is why Barts specifically?
So initially when I was deciding what universities to apply to, one of my main concerns was location. And after I researched a bit more about Barts, finding out that it's in the heart of London, of East London, that's definitely something that I really want to be in. I love sort of the ambience of London. I love how fast-paced it is. So being in a university there was definitely one of my top priorities. Next, I decided to research the curriculum at Barts, and after hearing that I had a spiral curriculum, I knew that instantly that's something that I was drawn to, where you're constantly adapting on things you've already learned, constantly revisiting and strengthening your basics. I think that's really imperative as a doctor because your basics are super important, and the fact that Barts curriculum encourages sort of revisiting those and going up in the spiral, I think that's a really good way of learning. In addition to that, Barts also offer the PBL system where you're introduced to a case and you have to discuss that among your peers. That makes you sort of almost feel like a doctor, and it really prepares you for the real world. So I'm really drawn to sort of that aspect of the course. In addition to that, they also offer dissection, and I feel like the best way to learn is by being hands-on, seeing the anatomy in your hands with a scalpel and looking at the anatomical features. So the fact that that it offers that opportunity to me, that's something that I couldn't pass out. And last but not least, the SSCs that they offer, as well as the intercalations. As someone who might want to specialize in something in the neurological field, seeing that they offer a neuroscience BSc really inspired me and motivated me to apply here. So hopefully I think that Barts, with combination with the course structure, its location, and the hands-on teaching they have with dissection, it will definitely be the perfect fit for me.
Okay, so essentially the way that you should go about answering this, and you can probably tell Kudjis is in that some conversational mode. Essentially the way that I would go about answering this is I'd mention 5 things, and I know some of my peers are going to cover this, so I don't know if I should take up all the points, especially because I'm filming this after. But the main gist of the way to answer this is that you need to show them that you've researched the uni in and of itself. So one of the first things that I'd mention is whether they are adopting a traditional PBL style, an integrated style of learning, a spiral type of learning. I think Adam mentioned this in his interview. But on top of that, that just shows that you know how you're going to study next year and how potentially you might have prepped for it, because they might ask you an example to where you have demonstrated PBL, which is also like in the ebook as well. And the next thing that I'd go about answering is potentially associated hospitals. You need to realize that whenever it comes to like medicine, a lot of your placements are going to be at a certain hospital, especially when it comes to like year 3, year 4, year 5. I think primarily a lot of them are year 4, year 5, but for example like Queen Mary, they do associate you with a GP early on. So knowing this does show that, okay, the guy does know, and they'll be thinking, okay, he has definitely done his research, because he can't fluke that. The next thing that I potentially mention is what I want to intercalate as. So whether it be something like neuroscience, whether it be sports medicine, medical sports, something like that, especially the guys who run onto the pitch in the football field and they help the injured footballer. So I think you can like specialize in that as well. Another thing that I would also mention is the societies. Now societies, does play a massive role showing them who you actually are. By that I mean, for example, But the only one that I can remember at the moment is, obviously there's ISOC. We're not talking about that. Otherwise they'll think that you're on some different thing. But you could talk about like Teddy Bear Society. And essentially it's like helping the youngers, especially the children, get accustomed to telling the doctor their diagnoses, or telling them history essentially. Children are not comfortable telling the doctor what they need to tell them. So actually that whole society is sort of like to expose children to doctors from early on. So I'd say I want to be a part of Teddy Bear Society. I want to be a part of different societies and link in your experience where necessary. But apart from that, I'd just say smile, you know, gas them up where you can. And yeah, that's what I'd say. Lovely answer as usual. The other question is, why should Barts choose you, and specifically you?
So the reason why Barts should pick me is that I will give back to the Barts University. More than anything, I would say I'm a good investment in this university because I am quite outgoing, I'm quite social. I in my current sixth form, I take part in lots of clubs and activities, and I feel like in Barts that will translate. In addition, picking me is a good reason, is a good thing to do, because I am quite motivated to work. I have demonstrated through my extracurricular activities and my academic work that I can A, juggle my time, B, I can manage stress, and C, I have what it takes to be a doctor. So I think that's why Barts should pick me.
So Assalamu alaikum, everyone got to the end of the video. I'm so gassed that you got to the end of the video, and inshallah ta'ala, God's willing, you have benefited from it, and if you haven't, then it is what it is. But nonetheless, just to show me that you've got to the end of the video, can you put like a tree emoji in the comments, just so I can see who the real ones are? But nonetheless, check out the other video that I've made on why medicine and how to answer that as well. That should be at the end of the Q&A playlist. And with no further ado, may Allah bless every single one of you. Assalamu alaikum. Peace.